Let's do this. Welcome, guys. I want to welcome everybody to the Choose to Change 90-Day Re-Entry Program. If you're a visitor or new to this program, I want to welcome you personally, and I'm glad you're here. Many of us walk through those doors not sure of what to expect, but many of us stayed because we saw real people with real problems. Anybody have real problems here? Yeah. Who had real hope. This 90-day reentry program is a self-supporting group. What that means is that we pass around a donation every meeting to just support what we're doing here. And so that's what it means by we self-support it. We support it by the people that believe in what we're doing, including you guys. And this whole program is sponsored by the Choose to Change Foundation. There's no dues or fees to attend here. Everything's free, including the coffee, except the Cokes in the fridge. And the waters, and the energy drinks, and the Topo Chicos. This 90-day program is a re-entry program, is a self-supporting group. There is no dues or fees to attend this class, but we do encourage your donations from our members and to anyone who believes in what we're doing. The only requirement for membership, and this is why this place is not full, because there is a requirement, and that is to have a sincere desire to change your life. A sincere desire to change your life. It's hard to get there. Sometimes people get there when they're 20. Sometimes people get there when they're 50. 60. So which one do you want to be? Your choice. Let me repeat that. I like that. We have a 20-year-old sitting over here and a 60-year-old sitting over here. Which one would you rather be? Neither one. Okay, we have a 30-year-old sitting over here, and my point is, no matter what walk of life you come from, we all could use some starting over. Yeah? That's what the name of this class today is. It's a topic for today, starting over. So the only requirement for membership is a sincere desire to change. So if you're ready to change your life, then you're in the right place. This program you will learn, and through this program, you will learn some tools and some resources to finally change your life forever, and a relationship-based support system to keep you going. That is the key ingredient to be able to stay sober, to stay out of prison, to finally change your life, to find direction in life, is the long haul, the process. It's kind of like going to college, going to school. That's just the beginning, right? Then the hard part comes. It's like getting a job. We get a job, getting out of prison. That's the easy part. It's getting a job, getting your license, getting your Social Security, getting a vehicle, and it goes on. That's the hard part. That's why people quit. When we're young, finish school, going to college, it's challenging. So for many of us, if you would choose to believe in the impossible. So welcome, my name is Orlando Salinas. I am the founder of this organization. Started this program about 12 years ago with the idea of helping men and women, young and old, find direction. I got this saying. And when I went back to prison for the second time, I've been to prison the first time, learned all about prison, no big deal, I can handle it. I tell people all the time, any idiot can do time. Who's done time here? Am I right or wrong? Any idiot can do time. But to change your life, find direction, move forward, that's not an easy task. And so then, when I went back to prison the second time, I was ready to change my life. I had a sincere desire to change my life. And I'll never forget. I went into the Garza West. Who's ever been to Garza West? In my days, that didn't even exist. So then when I went into Garza West, I had no idea where I was going. I said, man, this is crazy. What's going on here? So I walk in there, and this guy comes up to me, and he tells me, who are you running with? Everybody just smile. That knows what I'm talking about. Who are you running with? And I look at him. I'm excited, man. I'm like, I'm going to change my life. So I told him, I said, listen, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't care. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to the top. And so then a few years ago, I decided to do a shirt that says I'm going to the top. A friend of mine, Julian Garcia, he said, well, you ought to make a shirt that says I'm going to the top with big letters. I said, you know what? I think I'll do that. And you know why I like that term? Because of what it says in the back. Because it's too crowded at the bottom. And so I say that to help you understand my mindset. And what your mindset has to become. Because if you don't want anything in life, or if you don't know what you want, then you're lost and confused. You have to find something. Otherwise, you'll drift with any winds that blow. Friends, women, drugs, alcohol. You'll just drift. And guess where your drifting will take you? Where you probably don't want to go. Because drift doesn't just, you can't drift your way up to the top. Does that make any sense? There's no drifting to the top. Nobody drifts to the top. You have to work at it. You have to fight for it. You have to believe for it. That's how this stuff works. And this is why I started this class 12 years ago, to help you with this idea. I'm learning even as I grow, as I learn, as I go. Got to remember, I started at 40. Do you want to start at 40? After 13 years of prison, 10 years of drug addiction? Is that where you want to start? Where do you want to start? And so then, that's why I started. Another thing I just want to share with you, because we have a special guest today. I want him to share a little bit of his story, maybe how Choose the Change has helped him. But I told him I wanted to start just to share a few things that I had in my heart. Another thing I had in my heart was this. Many people, many of us, I think we all know this attitude, which is one of the key ingredients to life change, working with your attitude. Many of us understand that attitude that says, I don't give a. Who understands that attitude? Who knows that attitude? The one that says, I don't care what you say, I don't care who you are, I don't care what you think, I'm going to do it my way. Period. And I don't care if it takes me to prison or die. I don't care. And so that's a dangerous attitude. We all know that, right? Once we finally cross it, it's a dangerous. And so then if you're struggling with that attitude, you're going to struggle a long time, and you're going to fail. So, and that's why we need God. Because Many of us have been lonely and depressed and in a cell, in your room, at home, in a rehab, and you're just depressed and just want to, don't know what to do with your life. And that's where God comes in. Because only He knows your heart. Only He knows where you're at. That's where your faith comes in. And you have to fight. This is how this stuff works. You have to fight for something better. And the third thing I just want to share, there's three things I had in my heart. I looked up some statistics, and I thought this was pretty interesting because I'm always thinking about this stuff. Because I went to the parole office yesterday. Nobody's in here from the parole office yesterday. There was about 45 men and women. About 6 of them signed up. Nobody here. I was looking at some statistics from the about the recidivism. Because I was wondering, I wonder if it's easier to go back to prison now than it was before. In other words, is there more people going back to prison now, or is there more people going back to prison back in the 70s? Which one do you think? Are people going back to prison now, more now, or back in the 70s? What do you think, brother? I looked it up, but what do you think, just off the top of your head?
Yeah, it's quite a bit. 96, that's when they built over 100 units.
Okay, so do you think there's more people going back to prison now, or back in the 70s?
No.
Okay, anybody else? Now? Okay. Now? Okay. I thought it would be less, because supposedly the system, society said we got to fix recidivism. Congress passed laws. We got to fix recidivism. We got to help people. And now there's more people going back to prison than there was back in the 70s. That freaked me out. I said, wow. And I'm talking about per capita, not just in general. And I said, wow, that's interesting. So I thought to myself, what is the problem? What is our problem? Who's at fault? Is it the system? Is it the judge? Is it mom and dad? Who? What? I said, wow. And so the reason I started thinking about that is because I went to the parole office. And in the parole office, before I go and speak to everybody, there's a room there that I wait in, and there's a bunch of papers there, flyers and brochures of all these programs like rehabilitation and counseling and rehab and just a bunch of help, supposedly. And there is help, right? There's help out there. Mental health, just all kinds of programs. Well, none of them work if you don't want to change your life. Does that make any sense to anybody? It doesn't work if you don't want to change your life. So ultimately, what's the problem? And once you get that into your mind, once you understand that, who's the problem? Come on, help me out. Well, say it like this. Say it. Who's the problem?
Me.
That's it. And once I got that through my mind, once I understood that it's not my mom, it's not my dad, it's not the judge, it's not the parole officer, it's not my tia, it's not my grandma, it's not the police, it's not ICE. It's me. And once I got that through my thick head, I was able to make some changes. Because nobody's going to give you anything. Nobody. You're going to have to fight for it. Nobody's going to give you anything. Who understands that? See, as we get older, we start understanding this. But I think sometimes we forget. And I'm not minimizing your problems or what you've been through or how you feel. I'm not minimizing that. What I'm telling you is that if it is to be, you have to say it's up to me. And when I got that perspective, when I got that attitude adjustment, I was finally able to make changes in my life. But until you get there to where you can say, it's my fault, I need to change, then you're never going to change. Y'all get that? Who believes that? Listen, some people don't believe that. Let me repeat that, and then I'm going to introduce our special guest. Until you get to a place in your life where you say, it's my fault, I'm the problem. It's not my mother, it's not my father, it's not the judge, it's not my sister, it's my problem. Once you get there, now we have somewhere to start. And we start rebuilding your new life. That's how life change works. There's no easy way. So with that in mind, I have a special guest I want to introduce to you. I usually do this class, and I'm always going through things that I just spoke to you about. We're going to go through this whole process starting next week. I'm going to start with desire again. And for the next 90 days, we're going to go through this whole process to help you understand what real change looks like and what it takes to change. You can't just wish it. You just can't hope it. You just can't pray for it. You got to do them all. Hope and wish and pray. There's some things you have to do. So anyway, I want to introduce you to our speaker today. He's going to speak to a few minutes. I asked him to share a little bit of a story. Frank is a very unique person. Frank Salazar came in here. Let me just share a little bit about him, and then I'll let him share. He came in here with taking 10 different prescription drugs. Was it 10? Okay, we'll say 10. It was plenty. Maybe that was, okay, 10. He was taking a lot of prescription drugs. Remember I was telling you about how, there's a lot of help out there? Well, he was taking drugs. And he'd been taking drugs since he was young because they told him he had a mental issue. And so then when he came in here crazy. He kind of looks crazy still, but he started listening, and he started applying. And he got off all his meds. He doesn't take meds anymore. He started doing something with his life. Things he thought he could never do. He started believing in himself. He started moving forward in life. He's never been to prison. But you don't have to be to prison to be in prison. And so I wanted him to share a little bit about his travel, and then I'll end it with a few more words at the end. So help me introduce Mr. Frank Salazar.
Thank you, Orlando. Testing. And thank you for the Choose to Change Foundation for giving me this opportunity. Orlando shared a little bit about my life. And when he says I was crazy, he's not messing around. Before I get to that, we've all had setbacks. Who here has had setbacks? You're on the road heading somewhere, and something happens. That happened to me at the age of 8 years old. My mom said, stay here, I'm going to go visit a friend of mine. Well, her friend was the mother of my friend, and I wanted to go because it didn't care. I didn't care that my mom said stay home. Like I want to see my friend, and that's what was important to me. So when she took off, I went running after her. I went running after the car until she was gone, and I kept on running, and I came at an impasse. There's a street, and I could have waited 5 minutes and kept on going, but no, I wanted to go now. Well, what happened? I got hit by a car. Bam, right in the middle of the street. And I had to get back up because if I stayed there, I would have been hit by another car. And sometimes that's what happens. We get hit and we want to stay down, but you can't stay down because you're just going to get hit again. So I crawled myself, I forced myself off that street to a sidewalk. And that's when people started coming and helping. So sometimes people aren't going to help when you get hit, but they're going to help when you see you are making an effort. And this relates to this, but it just happened recently. So today's my birthday.
All right. Happy birthday, Frank.
Thank you. And for my birthday, I was going to have my sons here. Well, the day they were going to leave, just a few hours before they were about to come, my oldest son was crossing the street on his bike. And he followed all the rules. He knows to look both ways. He pressed the crosswalk. And he started crossing. Well, guess what happened? Like father, like son. He got hit by a truck. He's fine though, and I give the glory to God because as soon as I heard, I prayed and I told everyone pray. And what amazes me is that there's no broken bones in his body, just a little bit of pain. But he got up, went home, called me and told me, Dad, I'm not going to be able to visit you. I just got hit by a truck. So for him at 14 years old to be thinking of his father, not, hey, I need to go to the doctor. I need to call my dad because my dad's waiting for me. And then he went to the doctor. So I'm very proud of my both my sons, all my three children, but Riley especially because he had the foresight to not stay down. He didn't stay there. He kept on going. Anyway, so that's just a little bit of extra. But that for the initial accident, when I was hit by a car, the doctor told my mom, and I didn't know this until later, but he told my mom, he's fine now, but later something might happen. Well, guess what my mom did? I love my mom, but she let fear set in. So she protected me as the best she could. So there's a lot of things that I didn't learn. I never learned to ride a bike. I never learned to drive a car. It's only been recently that I've been on that path. That's when I was 8 years old. I'm 47 now and just learning how to drive a car. Just taking the written part was almost cracked my brain because I wasn't used to that. So there's a lot of things I had to start over. I had to train myself. I had to teach myself. But I didn't do that on my own. I did that when my life started to crumble, when my life was falling apart. My wife, for 3 years, we split up. She took me back home, and I didn't have access to my kids. I didn't have access to anyone. I was just at home with my mom, with my family, and I needed help. I knew I needed help, and one of the ways that I thought would help me was the prescription pills and going to a mental institution because at a younger age, I had gone to a mental institution because I was acting up, and someone in my family called the police, and they came, and that's when I decided to start cutting myself, and they took me to a mental institution. And I didn't even know what it was at first. They were just asking me information, and I'm there all proud because they're like, "Oh, you're not on any drugs?" Like, "No, I don't take drugs. That's not for me." I just tried to kill myself, and I'm sitting in a mental institution, but I'm proud that I didn't take drugs. That was the mindset that I had. I was twisted, and I didn't think I was twisted. I thought that was normal. It wasn't till I went in there and I realized, like, I can't be here. I need to go back home. And I went back home to my mom, and but we were doing everything the way we're supposed to do, taking all the pills. Uh, I don't know how many pills I was taking per day, like 6 to 10. We would fluctuate because the doctors would just be testing. And you know, if you take pills for certain things, it's fine. But the stuff that they were giving me was stuff that they were experimenting on back then. And you know, one of the pills I used to take at a very young age, I think 10, and that's something that you know has been used as a tranquilizer for animals, and it's been used for many different things. And they're giving that to a 10-year-old. So there's certain pills like I do not touch anymore. I barely touch aspirin unless I need to, but because I don't want to go back to that, because my mind was so messed up, so twisted, and not just from the drugs, but from just what I was being taught, what I was feeding myself, which wasn't much. Just watch a lot of TV and I listen to my friends. So I'm getting fed from different places. So when it came the time I needed to change my life, and I had to force myself to start over, because now I'm at home. I want to kill myself because I don't have my kids. My wife just left me, and I tried going back to the mental institution. They didn't want me. I tried going to a curandera. She couldn't help me. And I started crying out to God. And God said, you need to go back home. And I knew what that meant. I need to go back to church. Because at the age of 17, I was coming to church. I was coming to the Door Christian Fellowship. And I left when I was 21 because I went to live my life. Well, I wasn't doing a very good job of my life. So I made up my mind. I need help, and I'm gonna go to church, and I'm going to give my life to Jesus. Well, that day was a Thursday. Church is on a Wednesday, but in my mind I was thinking, it's Wednesday. I'm gonna go to church. So I got a ride. I get here, and I see the sign that it has the times. So it's closed on Thursdays. So I was about to just call for my ride again. I left my phone at home. So I didn't have a way to call back. And so I look at the number, and like, okay, well, maybe I'll write it down and I'll call later. Someone drives up, and it was a fellow by the name of Joe Albert, who is now Pastor Joe Albert. If he hadn't come when he did, I would have just gone back home. But he tells me about the Choose to Change Foundation. And when Orlando says I was messed up, thinking it's Wednesday when it's Thursday. Came in with red hair. I was a few pounds heavier back then, so there was no taco I would say no to. My motto was no cake left behind. I came in, and right away Orlando started challenging me. And that was something that I needed because no one challenged me. It's like, oh, don't worry about it. take this pill, take another pill. Orlando did this illustration, which he hasn't done in a while, but I always remember it because it affected me. And it's a plank on the floor. Will you walk this plank for? I forget the price, but I'm gonna say it's for $10. And sure, for $10 I would do that, no big deal. Okay, great. Now I'll put the plank between two tall buildings, and would you walk the plank? And like, sure, I already did it. Hypothetically, like, yeah, I can do that, because in my mind, it's like, yeah, no problem. And Orlando said, Frank, you're crazy, and he moved on to the next person. And it was afterwards he started explaining it, and he was saying like, okay, now there's a fire, and imagine someone that you love. Would you walk the plank to save them? And I was thinking of my son, Riley, my other son, Matthew, and my baby girl at the time, Donna. And that's when it hit me. I can't just do things because it feels good in the moment, or or someone insulted me, so I'm gonna go, fight them or whatever. I need to get focused and see the big picture of who is being affected by my actions, who is being affected by me not stepping up right now, and that's my children. So I always think of my children. Anytime I feel I'm going to just lose my temper, what would my kids say? What would the people that now look up to me say? Because I'm not the same man I was when I walked in 10 years ago. In a few short years, Orlando challenged me to do something, and I started getting back into drawing. And a few years later, I was able to have not one, but 5 comics published. And we did it through a print on demand. And one of them, I actually raised money to get it printed on my own, and Orlando helped with that. I'm on my way to being a public speaker because Orlando challenged me to be a public speaker if I wanted to be a leader. I joined the Toastmasters, and they've done a great job just helping me. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for God putting Orlando in my path, if it wasn't for the obstacles that were placed in my path. And it wasn't for Orlando and Eduardo Chavarria and a bunch of other people I can't think of the names right now, challenging me, saying that you can do this. And my comic, when it came out, I'm only going to do a certain run, and that's it. Well, I think it's time to bring it out again, so I'm working on formatting the pages again and having it printed on somewhere else where it's a little bit cheaper, but I can now have my books out where people can buy them. And that's been a great thing because I've been passing out small samples and people are really liking them. But none of that would have happened if I'd actually killed my son. Here's Orlando Salinas. Here's Orlando Salinas. Did you want me to take questions? Or? Deanna, do you have a question? Oh, my position at Toastmasters. So when I walked into Toastmasters 2.5